Who am I? What am I?
Normally we don't talk about things before we go into them, and we try to be spontaneous and you know, play off the other person's reaction because we're just finding out how the other one feels about it. But this one warranted some discussion beforehand.
Right, because we don't even know how to talk about it.
We have no fucking clue how to talk about it, which is actually, which if you know anything about Neil Breen and his films, is not too you know, beyond the pale.
Right.
Like, how do you talk about a Neil Breen film in a way that humans can understand?
Right.
So with this one, like, why don't we? Okay, first off, new Twisted Pair, new Neil Breen film, Twisted Pair. It's in select theaters right now.
Right now, until the end of November, I think, is the last scheduled screening.
Yeah, so far, but it may go beyond that.
But if it's in your city, definitely go see it.
You're a fucking fool if you don't go see it.
Okay. So
you're a clown baby.
So we want to start with the individuals. Do you want to start with the history of Breen, or do you want to go straight into?
Why don't you talk about how you know about the new Messiah?
Just going through YouTube one day, watching bad movies, bad movie clips, whatever, and then one of them, a clip from Double Down. No, Fateful Findings. Fateful Findings with the suicide scene. And I was immediately hooked. This is probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I think, when I found this, and just totally fascinated by anything the man does.
Jim! Call 911! Jim! How could you have done this? Jim! I can't believe you committed suicide. I cannot believe you committed suicide. How could you have done this? How could you have committed suicide?
You're how I know about him, because you knew that would be right up my alley.
Right.
And boy, was it ever. And then I caught the Neil Breen disease, and big time. And we had the great fortune of having Twisted Pair play in our cities where we live.
Right.
So we saw it separately. I saw it in Columbus.
And I saw it in Cleveland.
Yeah. And so what were the crowds like? Because we had somebody said there were about 130 people at the screening in Columbus.
Right.
I don't know if it was that many. The theater was not full, but they did have to. They started it in a smaller theater and had to move it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I would say about 150 to 160 people.
Okay.
Maybe 170 at the Cleveland screening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the time I bought my tickets, there were already 31 that were pre-sold.
Okay.
And I bought it like 4 or 5 days before.
Right.
So people were, a few people were getting excited about Breen coming.
The crowds were very enthusiastic. Only issue I had were there were a couple people trying to do the Mystery Science Theater thing through the movie. Mm-hmm. They weren't good at it.
Yeah.
They were not funny at all.
Well, that was happening in Columbus too, but we're much funnier people than Cleveland people.
Possibly. So the other two guys behind me were doing that, and I just got up and left within the first 5 minutes of the movie because I didn't want to hear it. It wasn't funny. So once I got away from them, it was smooth sailing from there. And after that, probably the most memorable and enjoyable theater-going experience I have ever had. Easily.
The same. Same in every way. The best film of this year by far, like light years away. Yeah, it's done. Fuck the rest of October. Fuck November. Fuck December. Greatest film of 2018.
Yeah, and we're not saying this ironically.
No,
we'll probably get into this because this is the thing. People can easily dismiss Breen as something, but I genuinely like his stuff without irony. There's no irony to me liking Neil Breen movies. None.
Maybe there's a little.
I don't know. No, I'm genuinely into this. I'm genuinely. Sometimes I'm laughing at it. Sometimes, but it's just it's engaging. It's entertaining, and it's mysterious and fascinating. And then this is weird because like the movies we've watched recently don't work for me because it's too abstract and doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
but this does.
But then comes along the master of abstract, and somehow that maybe what it is like the films that we've been watching lately have not been abstract enough, or maybe they haven't been Breen enough.
Well, they haven't been Breen enough because no one fits the auteur theory more than Neil Breen.
Yeah.
No one can make a Neil Breen movie other than Neil Breen.
Yeah.
No one.
I've never seen
even if you
anything.
Right.
Never seen anything like a Neil Breen movie.
No. The other thing that I sense from a Neil Breen movie is it's with these other things I'm seeing things I've seen played out in other kind of art house stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing. I go, okay. I see there that this is like pure. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
It does make sense.
This is not.
Well, all the Breen films have a purity to them, and I came out of this one thinking like this was the most pure, uncut Breen experience of them all.
Right.
Now I haven't seen Pass Through.
Okay.
Which is a huge oversight on my part.
Right.
And most of Double Down, but not the entire thing.
Okay.
But Fateful Findings I've seen several times. I'm Here Now. And yeah, I'm familiar enough with his work going into this one that I think I can say like this is so far for me like the most uncut Breen experience, like mainlining Breen, and it's almost too much Breen.
Too much?
It's almost too much because we're gonna have to get into that, like the experience of coming out of this film and trying to figure out what the fuck happened to us for the last few days.
But that being said, I do think this is his strongest film.
I do too.
Okay. You would say, we talked about this before, but Neil Breen has a left-leaning view of the world, would you say?
I would say he has an extremely underformed but solidly left-leaning view of the world.
Well, define what underformed. What do you mean by that?
Government and corporate secret.
Well, government and corporate secret, but he is going after the bankers, corporations, all like basically controlling the government. That is the problem.
Yes.
I mean, you can go deeper into it, but that's the problem.
He handles societal problems from a left-leaning standpoint, but also from like an extremely general, broad view, without getting specific at all. It's just like here's the kind of the problem, like the government and corporate collusion and like corruption,
right?
And that comes through, and he's right about that.
Every movie he does,
which there are the same themes in every Neil Breen
movie
film,
right?
Where he is a character that has greater than normal human powers, sometimes supernatural powers. Right. There's always a strong element of mysticism, and the supernatural. There's always he's up against some kind of corruption. Mm-hmm. He's fighting it. Mm-hmm. And
he's irresistible to beautiful women.
He's irresistible to women half his age.
Right. Yeah, he's not being specific. I don't think you have to be because mm-hmm. he's right on where he should be. These are the targets. These are the problems.
Yeah.
And so like that, I go, oh, I'm on board. I agree with you. I'm glad you're on our side, Breen.
Yeah. Do you think if that element wasn't there, that it would take away from his films? Because like that kind of thing is it's going to endear his work more to people like you and me. I think.
Right.
I think if that was absent, they would still be very special. But
right. Like if he was taking like what would like right-wing libertarian Breen movies be like? Yeah, I don't know if I could. I would like them. Yeah, I still would.
It would be. Yeah, it'd still be the most fascinating movies ever.
Right, you're right. Wouldn't agree with it, but I'd be like, oh my god.
He plays twins in this film, the twisted pair.
Cade and Kale.
Of the title. Yes.
Cade and Kale. What is it?
Double
Auteur. Is it Auteur?
Altair.
Right. Okay.
Oh, you get double Breen in this one.
Right. And I don't understand at the beginning, like, he was saying they were chosen by an advanced AI.
What?
And then he was also saying that they got to kind of choose remember the scene where they're at the screen and he's talking about like I got
programmable DNA,
and he was part of his own design.
But he was designing himself as a child in a lab. I think this was retroactively. He was chosen, and then as he grew older, I think he was able to. He got to design his DNA and give himself zooming powers.
Right.
Which he uses frequently.
Right.
So he's definitely
every fucking time the crowd erupted into applause.
Oh yeah.
Every
single time he zoomed.
Right.
I don't think you see the entire extent of his powers in this one.
No, you don't. The film opens with that, like him explaining twins and explaining the powers, and then something about his one brother, Kale, didn't do well with his missions and was cast out. Is that right? Like,
he ends up being a bearded kind of bum.
Yeah.
I guess.
Right.
This is my impression.
Right.
I think I'm just going to keep it up for the rest of the interview.
So he has and then the film opens. Okay, then after that explanation, we go to the scene of the soldiers in the building, and Breen appears out of nowhere.
Yeah. He's on a special mission.
He's on a special mission. There are soldiers in a building, and he's like, follow me.
You won't be hurt.
You won't be hurt. They can't hurt me.
They can't hurt me, yes.
And then they slowly walk out of the building.
But he stops time.
He
stops time to tell them, I guess telepathically, to stay behind him because he can't be hurt.
I think so. Yeah.
And then goes and they win. I guess the U.S. wins. And what was the line in front of the exploded building?
Something about
another evil regime
defeated or something.
With no explanation as to what any of that was about.
No. But the Cade character works for some sort of organization. I would assume with Breen it's probably not for the government. But then I don't think it
is the government.
It is the government because it wouldn't be for a private. It wouldn't be like a private military.
It wouldn't be Blackwater.
PMC or something.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because he would be obviously, I think, against that.
Yeah.
I don't. Some sort of something. I don't know.
Some sort of something. Is it relevant? I don't know. Nearly the entire film was filmed at a community college in Nevada.
Right. Yeah. And then
for everything.
And what wasn't was a green screen.
Yeah.
Or what was the term you used?
A Breen screen. Somebody in the theater shouted out Breen screen. I was like, that's good. I'm gonna take that. I'm no closer to figuring out how to talk about it than when I was watching
Well,
it.
maybe that's the thing. Maybe we should rethink how we're doing this. We'll keep some of this in, some of it out.
Yeah.
We'll probably keep this part in as I'm explaining what we're doing in this.
Yeah.
but,
Just because
it's
because
it makes sense.
It is important to let people know how difficult
Maybe it's
it is
less
to talk
important about what, explaining it and then plot-wise. It's like, how did it make us feel? How did because I'll tell you, and this is the thing, going back to that lack of irony, is there were moments when he gave his soliloquy at the end, I kid you not, that I got chills.
Oh, I did too.
I did too. Serious. Yeah. I was like, I don't know why this is strangely powerful.
Yeah.
But it was.
Yeah.
Even with people laughing, I go like, no, there's something about him that I can't pinpoint on what it is, but he's an incredible.
I'm at a similar loss. I came out of this experience, and I mean, I had like much the same happen to me, where things he would say, like, "I am here." Mm-hmm. It's like one of the most general statements, but when he says it, it has a power. And given in the context of his films, and at the end when he's like kind of like points to his heart and is like, I'm here,
right?
Like and that ended up being the end of the film, and I walked away from this. I've been an agnostic for most of my life, and leading atheist agnostic, and coming out of this experience, this was the most evidence I had for some kind of intelligence, some kind of being beyond human beings, like some sort of higher power. This is the best evidence I've had for it in my entire life, and I came out of here thinking, seriously grappling with a question: is Breen God?
Right.
I don't know if he's just a man. I don't know if he's God.
Right, but thematically, every single movie he's made,
he's trying to tell us he is, or something. I think there's not so subtle hints.
Right, there's definitely a Messiah complex with Breen.
Yeah.
But
is it a Jim Jones Messiah? Or is it like the real deal?
I think there's something. This is the thing, is I do think when I watch it, I do think I see a guy, I go, this is a good guy.
Yeah.
This is a good guy. And again, like, people go, you laugh at it, but I go, no, this guy seems like a genuinely nice person that's trying to really kind of guide people. I don't know.
He's doing it in his own way to like try and preach like his philosophies to the world. And I think he's doing a great fucking job. I don't know if that makes him God, but because I don't know if I believe in God.
Right.
But
I believe in Breen.
I believe in Breen.
I do too, because he's there. He's there in Las Vegas, selling houses, making movies.
And he's on another level. Like, and really, what is religion except for like the experience of the profound, like beyond human understanding?
Right.
And this is a religious experience for me.
Right. I don't want to go back to going this point on it. Without irony, I liked it. Also, okay, the effects, the whatever, you can like, I'm so bored with going to a big budget, like a studio film, and it's like, yeah, of course it looks good. Of course, of course, it's just money on the screen.
Yeah.
This is someone working outside of something, trying to, and like he fucking finished 5 movies.
Fuck yeah. And within the last decade.
Yeah, he gets shit done, and like yes, the budgets aren't there, but this is far more interesting than going to. It's far more interesting than this. Right?
Far more interesting than anything Hollywood's produced. Yeah. Yeah,
it's about something.
Sometimes you don't know what the fuck it's saying.
And it's easy. It's easy to dismiss. It's easy to laugh at. It's easy to just throw away and toss aside.
And we do all those things except for throwing it away. Like because these take us through like the range of emotions,
which is what art should do.
Which is what a movie should fucking do.
Right.
Yeah. Where if movies are ranked on their entertainment value and their contribution to society and like, you know, advancing thought in particular ways, I think Breen is way out ahead of vast majority artists.
Right.
And I'm not gonna say that it doesn't come with some irony for me, because I am laughing like the whole fucking time.
I'm laughing, but that's the thing. It's like I'm sitting here. I can't describe. It's a weird thing. It's like, okay, yes, I'm laughing, and I'm laughing at it.
Yes.
I'm also laughing with it.
Yes.
I'm laughing.
And you're also like really on board with it.
I'm really on board with it.
Yeah.
He has created whatever. This is crazy if you think about it. It's a new response. It's a new emotional response. He's done something that
yeah, he is. And the word
new emotional and intellectual response. It's
the word that we both keep coming back to when we talk about Neil Breen and his films is transcendent.
Yeah,
we've said it time and time again.
Right.
So let's hammer that home. The transcendence of Neil Breen and the Neil Breen experience.
Right.
Like he means so much to us. He and his films mean so much to us.
Right.
There's nobody really on that level that's alive.
No.
That's making films now.
No. This is. And I know it sounds like people are like saying that they could be watching this and saying like these guys are full of shit. These guys are full of shit, and this is a joke. Well, let's go into this now. We're talking about joke because a lot of people who saw the trailer, the internet reaction was similar, and we had the same thing.
Yeah.
Is he self-aware? Is he self-aware that is he fucking with all of us? Because there are a couple scenes in this one where I'm checking. There are a couple scenes in this one where I go, you have to be. The Scotch tape mustache was something I thought, no one would let this.
No one would let this. No. And then to share it between like two different characters, and one of those actors was in another scene with the guy that was wearing that mustache, and then he gets to wear the mustache when he plays a different character.
Right.
Where there's the homeless guy with the two fake rats.
Right, that are just rubber.
They're just rubber rats, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so there's that, and then some of the explosions.
Right.
But I thought a little bit more about that, and I was like, no, that's par for the course. Yeah. So like he's used like CG effects like that before.
Right.
And so there was also the time where Kale is like breaking up with his druggy girlfriend, and it just like it repeats that like loop of them kind of
the jump cut at it.
Yeah, the jump cut editing where and it's like little things like that,
right?
Where it's like, does it go into a realm of he's consciously making these choices because he knows that what kind of film he's making,
right?
And I mean, that therein is another like weird discussion about like, does he know what kind of film he's making? I mean, I think he knows what kind of film he's making. But in his conception of it, it's way different than what a lot of other people think the kind of film that he's making is.
Okay.
Because I think there's this goes for all kinds of outsider art, whereas you've got an auteur who has like a really particular vision of something, and for whatever reason they're kind of blinded to some of what a lot of conventional society would think is like real shortcomings.
Right.
So I think for him it's more about like the purity of his ideas,
Right.
than it is about the formal endeavor of it, of making a film, like being able to come up with like really good looking effects, being able to come up with like proper sound design.
Right. No, that's the thing. It's incredibly difficult to make anything from nothing. It's in film, right? And
for no budget.
With no budget, and yeah, no, keep on going with this because you're right.
Yeah, but that's a lot of the reason that why we love these films is because they were trying to do something like either really ambitious or in his case,
right?
Which I think his ambition is huge.
It's huge, and you go into things and like the rant earlier where it's just money on the screen you see in studio films and the people that get into that, like that industry is gatekeepers to that industry. Only certain people are getting in.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, the outsiders this is fucking important.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas this is among the most important outsider art, I think.
Okay.
And every once in a while, something does come along that's just fucking radical, and it's really out there, and it either gets like completely ignored, or it gets on the other end of the spectrum. It gets the attention from some of the tastemakers who end up like stealing from it and making it, more mainstream.
Right.
Or it becomes the cult film.
Right.
Or the cult music or the cult whatever.
Right.
And so this leads into a short discussion about the statement that was part of the contract that Neil Breen sent my local theater.
Okay.
So we both had that experience where somebody came out, introduced the film, talked about how great it was to have it there at their theater.
Right.
But they said slightly different things. And part of the contract at my theater, Neil Breen specifically asked that Twisted Pair not be shown as a midnight movie and not be referred to as a cult film. And that's the guy who was doing the introduction to your place didn't do the same thing.
No,
right?
he said he said that the contract was kind of insane that he had to sign, and it was a lot of stipulations, and all he said was basically standard theater thing, like turn off your phone, don't record anything, that kind of stuff. But perhaps he just didn't go into it, and perhaps that was like,
it could have been
because
I think it gave like an important insight into Neil Breen's thinking about his film and like trying to control the way that his films are consumed.
Right.
Which is in this day and age is more difficult than ever.
Right.
But I think it's kind of admirable. And that he's at least trying. I mean, but the thing is, once you put something out there, people are going to take it as they will. They're going to like make their own interpretations.
You can't control
out of it.
someone's reaction to anything.
Exactly. So does he have any control over whether it's seen as a cult film or not? I don't think he does. I think he can try.
Right.
And he can make these stipulations like you can only see it in theaters at a certain time.
Right.
And no, it's not a midnight movie. It's not supposed to be a cult film. It's not The Room. It's not Rocky Horror Picture Show. I don't think it is The Room or Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think it's way beyond them.
Right.
But I also don't, and I might be totally wrong about this, but I don't see it. I don't see him and his work progressing past cult status. I don't see Neil Breen running alongside the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even though this will be probably the first film in the Breen Cinematic Universe because Cade will return in another film.
Oh yeah. I think the film is planned as a trilogy, possibly, because there's the character with the trench coat and the leather gloves.
Yes.
That appears sometimes, and I'm trying to piece together what that was even about. But I think the reveal is going to be there's a third brother. There's actually the triplets, and I think that entity walking around that you just see like somehow is going to be tied with, I think.
Yeah. And it'll be like Metal Gear Solid 2. It's the president.
No, it's very, like the Metal Gear series I thought about a lot because it was,
Also watching this one in particular, I feel like there are shades of directors like David Lynch and like even Terrence Malick, the dreaded Terrence Malick.
Well, for me, the dreaded.
For me, also the dreaded Terrence Malick.
Well, the dreaded David Lynch for me.
Okay, you're both dreaded for you. Yeah, the half dreaded David Lynch for me. I just either love him or can't stand him. But there's shades of the surrealism of Lynch and the symbolism of Lynch and the poetry and dreamlike qualities of a Terrence Malick,
right?
Although certainly dreamlike qualities in Lynch as well, but also beyond both of their means, I think. I think certainly beyond Malick and beyond most of Lynch, like the abstraction level in a Breen film is. It's at one time like incomprehensible and totally accessible, and I don't know how to characterize that. I mean, do you?
God damn it! I don't know. What we talked about that before. Like you said, you one time said he's part David Lynch, part Terrence Malick, and part Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, but I don't know how much Andy Kaufman. Right?
Well, like last night, I thought that weird woman wrestling scene. I think he's maybe giving us hints.
Maybe. No, but then also, ultimately, if he does turn out to be Andy Kaufman, if this is all a giant put on,
right?
What do we do with that? Because he's still giving us some of the most interesting films. I don't think you can make these films from a place of insincerity and just fucking with people.
I have a friend that swears he thinks this is a total put on, that he's fucking with us, and it's an Andy Kaufman thing.
And I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I think he's a supernatural Breen.
Okay, no, I'm on it. I think there's an earnest and there's there's a sincerity here. He's just. I think he's totally sincere.
I think so too.
Okay.
And I think he's come from a better place, a more interesting place, and he's trying to educate us.
Right. Two things that I think warrant a discussion. In particular, is the scene with the homeless man in the beginning, the long scene where he bumps into the woman.
Yes.
And asks her on a date and is rejected.
All in a frantic manner.
Right. And then says, meet me back here at 8, and then follows her.
Yes.
And it's a scene.
Well, he comes back at 8.
He comes
and then the homeless guy is still there with his 2 rubber rats.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, well, I guess you didn't show up, and he gives him a dime or something.
Right.
Okay, but then is when I really thought this film was going to take a turn that I didn't know if I could be on board with here.
Right. Right. So he sees, Cade sees the woman and goes, "That's that woman from earlier. I'm going to follow her."
And everybody in the theater was like, "No!"
Everybody, what do you do? And then he does. And then because of his powers, he can get into her apartment
building. Walks
building.
in her house.
Right. And then he proceeds to try to rape her.
He's like, "You fucking bitch!"
Right, and then
he lightly wrestles with her, and then there's a painting. She just breaks over his head.
And then in the next scene, they're like laughing. Right, they're
the light wrestling turns into light cuddling.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, they're role-playing, with a couple, and they're role-playing, but that was just, it's not explained. It's not talked about, but I go, it's not role-playing because that's a thing over your head, man.
But that's some elaborate role-playing.
Right.
Because, and then why was it important for them to put on that little show in front of the like homeless guy with the rats, and then like what was with his voiceovers to like I'm gonna follow this woman, like oh you fucking bitch I'm about to rape you.
Right.
Is that the only way is the only way he gets off?
But no one that has seen it that I've spoken to, everyone's baffled by that.
That was okay in a marvelously baffling film. That was one of the most baffling things that happened.
One of the most baffling things I've seen in a movie ever.
Yeah. Guys, I think everybody was starting to groan. Like, oh my God, we were all worried for a minute. Yeah, like he got us. Yeah. He got us with that. If nothing else, if like none of this, the rest of this was a put on. That was an incredible put on.
Yeah. The other thing is, and this thing is, I have never laughed as hard at anything in my entire life. This is not hyperbole. Than the voice of Coos.
Yeah.
That was
okay. So Coos is the closest thing the film has to an antagonist, I think. Mm-hmm. So I think most of the film is Breen trying to take down the Coos empire,
right?
Which apparently is involved with bioengineering and mutants. There's a bunch of guys that look like they're in the Blues Brothers impersonators.
Blues Brothers impersonators with Oculus Rift.
yeah. Like it's like they're sitting down at the computers with the Oculus Rifts, and then they get up like one at a time. And walk into the room as a great scene, but then also they can just turn invisible or disappear anytime they want.
Coos made them disappear for some reason.
When he touched his jewels in the chalice, so he squeezes the jewels in the right way.
I guess Coos is his voice is unexplainable, which I like. You don't know what. Yeah, it's just what it is. I'm guessing he might be AI, I don't.
But also like mystical in a way too, because it's like an AI wizard who can conjure butterfly women who just show up and look around awkwardly. And then take you in what seems to be Neil Breen's personal home theater in his house and show you a little bit of pass-through of one of his other films.
And the butterfly women sparkle. This one's a weird one. I don't know what we're doing. I think we're doing it justice. I feel we're doing it justice. I don't know.
Do you? I don't know. I think you like really. Really, you have to see it.
Yeah, you have to see it.
You have to experience it. I mean, like, like some of this, somehow we come off. It might be like, oh, these guys are just they're just getting into it in the moment. It's just hyperbole and all this. No. There is nothing like a Neil Breen experience, right. And if you haven't experienced it, you must.
But like you said earlier, it's not going to play for everyone, and a lot of stuff that we talk about on here doesn't play for everyone. But and I don't know. This is the thing. You could tell someone to watch this, and they will go, "This is shit." But it's not.
But who? Somebody that doesn't have a fucking soul.
So that's the thing. There's heart and soul in his movies.
Yes.
That's missing in a lot of things.
Yes.
Yes. There's something. And like again, we sound like we're not being ironic here. We're not. Yeah. I'm not.
No, I'm mostly not.
Okay. Mostly not.
Mostly not.
Okay.
Like, look, we can't get around it that much of the entertainment value of his films comes from just the off the wall fucking sensibilities that it takes for him to make these films.
Right.
Just they they don't feel like they come from Earth. They feel like they come from somewhere far away.
Right.
And that's and that plays into the me maybe entertaining the fact that he might be the Messiah.
Well, and then the thing too, you look at the credits and you look at that and you go, you're working on a limit and you're doing everything. He's doing everything.
Every company that's listed in the credits that has either an N or a B in the title, it says at the end of his credits, these companies were actually Neil Breen.
Right.
And you look, and it's everything. He does everything. He even does his own catering.
Right. It's say what you want. Like, to me, that's really it's so admirable. It is, because this guy's work ethic is crazy.
It's totally crazy. Like, obviously he's somewhat independently successful, wealthy. To do the whole auteur thing,
that's interesting too.
That plays into it.
Here's a guy probably I think he's a realtor in the Vegas area. So yeah, he's probably doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah.
He could easily at his age just not do anything. Take it easy.
Probably. Yeah.
No. Instead, he takes one of the most difficult endeavors in life. I'm going to make a feature-length movie. This is what I'm going to do with my time.
Yeah.
That's something.
That's definitely something.
The other thing is him being I think this is interesting, him being probably wealthy and coming down on the left side of things. That's interesting.
That's also very interesting.
Right.
And living in like the Southwest, which is not exactly a bastion of liberalism.
No. no. So, and we are making assumptions, but I do think that...
Well, but it's part of the mystery. It's part of the allure of figuring out the man behind the films.
So do you have any idea, do you have theories about what this is about?
Okay. Yeah, I think.
Okay.
But it's so big.
Okay.
It's so big and convoluted.
Okay.
I can't grasp it. I think ultimately I think ultimately there's like a message of love for humanity, which comes through strongly at the end.
Yes.
And it's like whatever happened before that, I think that hammers it home at the end. And before that, I think it's not too out of the wheelhouse, because it's got the same themes and as his previous films, but the narrative structure is I think much more loose in this one than in any of the other ones that I've seen.
Okay.
And that's partially what leads me to say that it was more like uncut and raw Breen. Okay. A raw Breen experience. And I think this one was about, I think your theory about it was really good.
Okay.
But so, which you're going to get into. Right. But I also think that this one was about Neil Breen just doing what he does and fighting back against corruption, like government and corporate corruption, and fighting back against a character that wanted to do something that was along the lines of a Bond villain, I guess. Right. Like Coos was like the Bond villain. I'm struggling because it's just, how do you keep this together?
Right.
So it's Breen doing what he can, using his like superpowers to fight against evil and the powers that be, but with the addition of Kale, he shows another method of fighting back, which like you want to talk about your interpretation.
My theory: the two brothers are symbols or representing the current American left. Now, well, you can go deeper into it, but let's just say Cade is like the standard Democrat working within the system to change things.
Yeah, like moderate Democrat.
Moderate Democrat, right? And Kale is like a more extreme version of a left, like a.
It's like Antifa.
Well, maybe it's the distinction between liberal and leftist. Maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Although, as leftists, we don't exactly go around like kidnapping people and chaining them up in dungeons and shooting them in the shoulder.
So I'm trying to think but I think it's what it represents is like you have maybe to change things you have to work outside of the system rather than joining it. And I think that's what that's what I think this is really about.
Yeah, and I think there's as much validity to that as there is like any other theory, but it does seem like that one makes a bit more sense.
Because even in their lifestyles, like Cade lives in a nice apartment and has this, and you know this guy, the brother Kale, is like a drug addict and is down and out and is really actually struggling, and like so there's more of a things have to change. I'm really angry. I'm in this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but is it properly explained like how the brothers were split up, and then why Cale finds Cade like years and years later, and then the overlaps of their lives? I'm really at a loss for some of that.
But don't you think at the end is kind of saying? I think Breen is saying like this more radical approach is more like, don't you think he's giving it a little more like, this is the side I'm coming down on because,
well, I don't know,
because Cade was betrayed and it didn't work out for him. Oh, well, he was effective in bringing down Coos, I guess, but it was still, there was a lot of betrayal going on and lies, whereas Cale was more, again, like Breen, more pure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, but then Cade gets the last word, and he's also the one that is gonna come back.
True.
So I don't. It's hard to say like exactly where he comes down on that, but I thought he leaned more towards Cade because Cade got the last word, and
possibly, and maybe saying maybe it could be you can't. Maybe.
Yeah, but then also, wouldn't that kind of go against the message of like Fateful Findings, where Fateful Findings is more it's more down on the Cale side of things, right? Because Breen in Fateful Findings like operates outside of the system and finds all the government and corporate secrets and then uses those. He like does the whole Snowden thing and unleashes everything, and it just causes the House of Cards to fall.
Right. Yeah. But this is amazing because Breen has said, he goes like, well, this one's very different from my past works, and it is.
Yeah.
But thematically, he's always on point.
Yeah. He is always on point.
He's always it's the same thing. I mean, like he's telling the same story just in different ways.
Yeah. And this one just happened to be, I think, the best way.
Right.
Like, I didn't think he could make a finer film than Fateful Findings.
Okay.
How's that for alliteration? But this one, wow. I walked out of there fucking questioning my own agnosticism, and I mean. Somebody said it in the theater, Breen is God, and who am I to argue?
Right. Well, let's talk about the ending. When this thing, I've never seen this happen in a theater. I've been to concerts where this and that, but this was, I mean, it was a madhouse. The credits started, I think it's standing ovation.
Standing ovation.
I think
Chance of Breen. Yes.
And it was sustained. It wasn't like a quick Breen. It was like it lasted a good maybe 30, 40 seconds of like I've never. It was an incredible thing to be a part of. That community. That it really was. It was like. I'm glad these people exist. I'm glad that you're getting maybe the same or different things. I don't care what you're getting out of it. I'm just glad I came along for this experience with you. And
is there something real here forming around Breen? Is this
well? That's the thing. I think there's something real, but I think most people are on this ironic part of it.
Yeah.
And if you look at other like YouTube people that do reviews of Breen, they're on the ironic part of it.
Yeah.
I am not on the ironic part of it. I understand the irony around it, but I'm not for it because I love the fact that somebody that should not be making movies is making movies. I love that. I fucking love that.
I love it too. I need it.
I need
fucking need it to keep going.
Yes, because I'm tired of the same old shit. I want a new voice, and he's doing it, and like I don't care if it's not perfect. No joke. I think this is the best film I've seen this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was the most entertaining.
Yeah.
The most original.
Yeah.
And this is a rare time we agree. We're in agreement.
Yeah, we're in absolute agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was a special movie that I highly recommend. I loved every single moment of it.
Yeah. Yeah, not a weak moment in the entire film.
No, and that's another thing too. I think this film was his best paced film.
Yes.
This one moved quicker than his other. Because in the other ones there was some like, okay.
Yeah. Well, even in Fateful Findings, which is like a near perfect film. There are a little bit of pacing issues sometimes.
Right.
But not with this one. I'm Here Now. Was incredibly like ploddingly slow at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. But this one, like, this was just, I'm gonna say it again, it was pure Uncut Breen. It was like mainlining Breen.
Right.
Incredible experience.
Right.
Which days later, I don't know what it did to me. I don't know what like.
We'll talk about that series of questions that he asks and how I like your reenactment of that.
The series of questions that, wait, who asked?
In the movie, like I think Kate.
Oh yeah.
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 Was it Kate or Kale? I don't remember.
Well, it's Kale. It's Kale. I mean,
okay.
and these are
Kale.
like,
yeah,
these are like, and these were in the trailer, and these are kind of like, a friend asked me to describe the film to her, and I was like, I can't even begin. I can't do it, and so she was like, okay, well, what are some quotes? And I was like, who am I? What am I? I am here. I am here.
Right.
As profound as anything that I have heard in a long time.
No, because like there's something about his simplicity sometimes that is powerful that I think people are not really giving him credit for.
Yeah. Which, well, when you take it in the context of his films and the complexity and the ambition of what he's trying to do, like in those simple moments, it comes back down to little statements like that.
Right.
And there's something profound going on there. I can't.
No, if I'm in a certain emotional state, like I said, like I did get chills from his end soliloquy. His monologue at the end really moved me, genuinely moved me.
Yes. Yeah, so. Genuinely. Here too. To say that Neil Breen is a treasure is not enough.
Right.
To say that he's making vital art is not enough.
Right.
To say that he's had a huge effect on me is not enough.
Okay.
that it'll never be enough.
Right.
I am infinitely grateful that Neil Breen, whether he be man or supernatural, I am infinitely grateful that he is here.
Everyone has the right to love and peace. I'll be right here.
Okay. So where do we go?
We just talked about like the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Right.
There's a lot more
Right.
of it.
Yeah. Well, how do you talk about this?